we are with my 190E, which, if you've been following, I've been working on to get on the road. It is now on the road. There it is. So today I'm just going to talk through everything that's been needed on this car and how much a cheap one of these might cost you to fix, really. So let's start with the big stuff, welding. This car was quite rusty and it needed a sill, a bit of the floor welding, all four of the jacking points really, the rear quarters, that bit there where they always start to rust, cost me between I think 2,200, including all of the panels, between that and about 2.5 grand just on the welding. It was 1,200 quid just to get these rear cores painted properly, and so there's literally no sign of any of the repair work. So that's another 1,200 quid. So we are already at 3,700, and that's without even doing any of the other mechanical stuff on this car. So that's that. And then after that, the brakes and suspension needed completely sorting. So suspension wise, I went for the Yellow Speed Racing Club Performance pack, I think it is. It's the one with the monotube and external canisters. That was, I think, the best part of 1,500 quid, if I remember right. Then I went through and polybushed everything. So everything on the rear is pretty much new. So the rear subframe's been completely polybushed. All of the multi-link suspension's new as well, so it's got new Lemfoda arms. Again, the front wishbone's been powder coated and polybushed, and I think polybushes were around £350 for the complete pack. Brakes, so I had to replace some of the metal lines, which obviously the actual copper tubing doesn't cost much at all. It's just time putting them together and getting it on the car, so that wasn't actually too bad. And then the actual brakes, so I had to get new rear brake calipers. The fronts I rebuilt, so I think that must have been another, I think it was about £110-20 for both of the rear calipers. And then the fronts, I think I rebuilt both for about £50 to £60. In terms of the flexi hoses, they were replaced with braided brake lines. So that's another 80 quid. The EBC brake pads, I think they were another 120 quid. I went for yellow stuff, so I could use it on track. Also did uprated anti-roll bar links on the rear. They are actually from a W124TE, so the estate, and it's a nice little cheap upgrade. On the front, did a SL500 anti-roll bar, so that's the thicker version, which I actually fitted in the last video, if you want to take a look at that. That's again a good upgrade. That was £100 or so second hand, and you just need to chop the ends off just to make it fit on a 190E. But yeah, check out the last video for that. And then if we move on to the engine and then maybe the interior. Right, there's the engine. It didn't like to start when I bought it. It turned out to be one of the relays, so it was believe the fuel pump relay, if I remember right. It wasn't the OVP one. Although that OVP one can cause starting issues. So got it working, and then I just gave it a good service. I did plugs and all of the fluids you'd expect. I've changed the hydraulic fluid. I've also had to do a new alternator. I've had to get a new one of these. That was another £100. The other thing I replaced was all of the 4 injectors, which obviously they were quite old, and they'd done 176,000 miles, so it was worth doing that. The other thing is doing the valve adjustment, which again, not too expensive. I didn't have to change out many of the shims. I think it was under £50 or so. It was only the exhaust side which really needed adjusting after I'd checked the clearances. So £50 there, and then also needed a new battery. I think that was about £60. So I don't actually know what we're up to, but I think we're up to a decent amount already. What I'll do is I'll then walk around the car and show you all of the bad bits left still to sort out. Right, okay. The paintwork isn't actually too bad at all. I've not even machine polished it yet, but these quarters have been painted, but this is the boot lid. Not bad at all. That's the roof. Doors, all straight. No significant dents. I think with a machine polish it will actually come up quite well. Not bad for a cheap car, but I don't know how cheap it is anymore after all that money I've spent on it. Oh, and the wheels probably need refurbing as well. Fix some lacquer peel. Fix some rust, which is always on the list. And get the engine running properly. Oh, and finish the interior with some proper door cards. And it should be not such a bad car. Obviously I need to fix the front bumper. The rust there. And even more lacquer peel up here. And this has got even worse after the last hand car wash. What else is still wrong with it? It runs and drives fine. Hot start's a bit of an issue sometimes. You just got to give it a bit of gas and it'll start up. There we go. So it starts up. Sounds good. Oh yeah, I forgot. It's also had a stainless steel exhaust. So I think that was another £250 or so. So yeah, it drives alright. It could probably do with a proper tune on the K-Jet, but I wanted to swap that over to electronic fuel injection anyway, so I didn't really see the sense in spending the money on getting the K-Jet tuned properly. And to tune it properly, I'd probably have to change a lot of sensors anyway to get it running to its best potential. In terms of driving otherwise, the suspension and everything associated with it feels really tight, and it obviously should. Everything's been polybushed and everything suspension-wise is completely new. And the addition of the SL500 anti-roll bar on the front really does stiffen the front end up, and it handles great. I've already taken it to Cadwell Park for a track day. had some good fun there. I mean, the tyres were absolutely shocking, but fun nevertheless. My car's dead. My car's dead. Shall I go there?
Car's dead.
Yeah.
Okay, just go up there, mate.
I also, well, didn't do the North Coast 500, but attempted it. If you look back a couple of videos, me and my friends did the North Coast 500, and quite funny actually, because it didn't even start from my driveway really. Hopefully no one breaks down. It's not starting already. Had to get it jumped because of a battery drain issue, which we managed to sort, but made it up to Glasgow at least before the fan stopped kicking in. So it was a bit too late in the day to try fix that, you know, with no Halfords being open or any shops being open to do anything. We left it in Glasgow and picked it up on the way back. That trip, we managed to raise a decent amount for charity as well. We are actually going to be doing another charity-related challenge where we're buying cheap cars to drive to Europe. You can go check that out on a different channel that I've got. I'll put a link in if you are interested. But we've got two charities that we're supporting. We are supporting Dementia UK and Menfees, which support children with disabilities. Now then, interior. Or lack of interior, as I joked in my previous video. So it did come with a complete original interior, but some of it's long gone. Let's just say that. So I wanted to go for the motorsport style look, club sport, partially stripped. So no back seats. I sold the interior and door cards, which pretty much funded this interior, so I didn't really have to spend anything extra really. So Momo Prototipo steering wheel, that was about £150. Cobra RSR seats, the pair with the sliding rails and the proper mounts were I think about £1,100 off the top of my head, and then this nice Schrott harness and a metal dogleg shifter. So that's the interior. The only other thing I did on the interior was fix the lap timer. So I actually managed to come across one relatively cheap. I think it was only £50 or £60 for the actual lap timer with the LCD already working, and I think the repair is about £40 if I remember off the top of my head. So it made sense just to get another one, and I've got a spare if I ever do need one. So, in terms of a total cost, I'll work it out and stick it somewhere, but I'm sure it's, you know, around £6,000 at least. Okay, that's my cheap 190E 2.5 16 valve Cosworth. Cheap. Yeah, maybe not so cheap anymore. But anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And if you're ever thinking of buying a cheap one, that's how much it might cost you to sort out properly. Obviously, I've made some decisions on the interior and other bits and pieces, which you don't have to do, but obviously nice to upgrade while you're doing it anyway. Okay. Alright, thank you for watching. Hope you find that useful. Bye.